This podcast is brought to you by Open Door Mission, restoring hope and changing lives. OpenDoorMission.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Almost Spring here. It's time for the Wise Home Energy Show on the Voice of Liberty, WYSL, and
Pure Energy,
WLEA. We have Jeff Flaherty in the studio. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Bob. How are you today?
I'm just hunky-dory.
Excellent. I think it's a wonderful day to talk about energy. Can we do a 2-hour show today? Do we have time?
Yeah, we have to talk real fast, though, because we have to fit it in half an hour.
All right. There's a lot of stuff going on these days with energy and people complaining about energy bills.
Energy's been a big problem for a long time.
Yeah. I complain about energy bills myself when the bill comes in at home, and we get a lot of that stuff. And I had an interesting situation this week where a person signed up for an energy audit, and it was a renter, and the landlord has to fill out some paperwork. And she said, I talked to her on the phone, and she says, the problem is my electric is brutal, and it's my hot water heater. She said, RG&E says it's my hot water heater. And I said, how do you know that? And she said, well, they're sending me these reports. And I said, well, if it's your electric, is your hot water tank electric? And she said, yes. And
is it on a separate meter? I mean, how can you separate it out?
So what I think is going on is with the smart meters. So she sent over the report. The algorithms, the AI says it's 7 o'clock each morning. The electric really ramps up for 10 minutes and then shuts down. And they have determined, and I don't get these reports. I don't know why, but the report was kind of interesting. It kind of broke down. It's kitchen related. I mean, it felt like Big Brother as you look at this.
Well, isn't that what people have been objecting to for, 10 years now?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what will happen is there'll be more education for clients. And it'll allow us to make better decisions in the home. Now, she was a renter, and I emailed the owner, and I said, electric hot water tanks are low upfront cost, high operational costs. So for the landlord, that sounds good. But for the tenant, she is probably ready to get out of town, So I thought it was really interesting that they have that kind of data, and those algorithms will probably just keep getting stronger and stronger. And I'm sure they'll make some mistakes with it, but that was enlightening, because I was thinking, how do they see inside the home? They don't have trackers on each circuit, but it just must be.
Well, they have a different way of doing it. There's different ways to skin a cat. I foresee some 4 a.m. showers in that person's future.
It could very well be. It could very well be. One of the things that goes on is there's these rebates, and who knows how these rebates work? So there's NYSERDA that has a insulation rebate, and it operates under the Comfort Home program. So anybody in the publicly regulated utilities, NYSEG, RG&E, National Grid, National Fuel, they're all eligible to participate in the assessment and the rebate program. Municipal electric customers can still get the energy audit, but the rebates fall to that municipality. And it's interesting because you can use that rebate, or RG&E and NYSEG have an insulation rebate. And it all comes out of the same pot of money. But we just received notice that RG&E has put a pause on their rebate because it sounds like they're running out of money. So who knows how much money they give them. But that's why I always say, get on it, check it out, figure out what you want. And the way that works is that the RG&E one can be a little they all have these crazy rules. And the RG&E can be, hey, we can do your attic and you can get the rebate. Where the Comfort Home NYSERDA one is you have to do your attic and your basement rim joists. And if somebody doesn't want to do that, or it's not accessible, now you can't access that rebate. So we hope that they're going to fund that and keep that going. But it's always why I say to people, why wait? Get involved. I mean, especially as these rates keep climbing and climbing and climbing, all you can control is your usage. You don't want to turn your thermostat down to 40. You want a well-insulated home that performs properly.
I saw one of the New York senators legislator. Maybe he was an assemblyman. He held a press conference and is demanding the reopening of Indian Point, which would be a wonderful thing to do.
I think there's been a lot of bad policy. There's people that get in office for a year or two or 40, and they sign something not recognizing the law of unintended consequences. For every action, there's a reaction. We don't really know how that's going to happen. I recall some years ago when we went to energy-efficient streetlights. We went to these LEDs. Well, one of the benefits of the old halogens, incandescents, there's a lot of heat comes off that. So what they found is the snow wouldn't melt off the street light. They had to come up with a new system. I don't know if they sprayed silicone on there, but suddenly the street lights were covered in snow. You didn't know what color they were. And that's an example of, hey, we made an energy efficiency decision. What is the negative impact of that? So
it's kind of like what they've done to the roads. I mean, you notice that, I don't know, it's like 5 years ago, somebody had the bright idea of putting these like rumble bumps,
yeah,
right on the center line.
Yeah.
And now, because they obviously what they did is they had some machine that compressed the asphalt, and now the roads are all falling apart.
Yeah. It seems good, when you veer off a little bit off the center or off the shoulder. I guess it's meant to wake you up, but you're right. Yeah, it's probably makes the roads break down a little quicker. So,
and on Route 5 between Avon and Caledonia, I was going over to the accountant's the other day, and one of my front tires got caught in this. It's basically like a ditch now that runs down the center of the road.
Yeah,
and it was different. And I was having trouble steering.
Yeah. Yeah, it guides you in there, right? There's the difference between, what do they say that? A groove and a rut. That's the difference. A groove is fun to be in. A rut is a terrible thing to be in. I had an interesting email come through a couple weeks ago, Bob, and it was lengthy. And it said, just out of the blue, I'm looking to have a estimate for a bathroom exhaust fan. And I want best practices for cold climate performance, air sealing, and moisture control. Those are all good things. Little background, we've had recurring ceiling leaks that coincide with snow and ice damming, icicle formation. So we want this bath fan to be of this high quality. We want it to be insulated properly. We want it to exhaust out and sealed. And any insulation that's been removed, we want it to be put back. And it was so long that I missed one of the lines that said, and I want pictures of the work, because we just had our attic insulated 2 weeks ago and it was very expensive. So I was thinking, well, why didn't they do the bath fan then?
Yeah,
any good company would look at your attic as a system, as we do. That's the time to do it. So I responded and said, unusual request you have here. I'm not sure I can do it. Please send over your pre and post blower door pictures, and send over a picture of the air sealing, and send over a picture of the insulation. And he responded and said, unfortunately, they didn't provide me any of those things. So,
really?
So he wants that of me, but he didn't want it of his big insulation project he just purchased. So I don't know the company, and if I did, I wouldn't say it online, but or on the air. And but it really just shows when you go to pick a company, what are you looking for? And I think of our process and our really kind of our Bill of Rights is we're going to give you, if you sign up for the paperwork, we're going to provide an assessment of your home and look at all these components. If you ask, we're going to do a 30-minute indoor air quality test on the initial assessment. We're going to give you photo documentation of the assessment, the pictures that we took of the insulation in the attic, areas you don't climb into. Then when we do the installation in an area like an attic, we're going to take all those pictures. And then on the final inspection, we're going to take pictures and document the improvement of the blower door and anything else we have. So we provide that all to you as standard practice because this person, who knows what he got? The only person who knows is the person up in the attic, and apparently that person's not telling. And they're definitely not showing. So
it's very strange. I mean, I would think if, that's a state program, is it not, the blower door thing?
Well, did he get it through a program? I mean, there's people out there. Not only that, there's people out there that work in the programs that say, oh, you don't want to go through the programs, and it's a hassle. And so they kind of avoid it. One of the benefits of the program is you do get a opportunity for a third-party quality assurance. So, that's really, those are the type of questions you want to ask of your contractor, what you're going to provide. Do you have examples of homes that you've done like this? So most of the homes that we get calls for, 95% of them, I said, we've been to a home just like this almost. Yeah, there might be an addition here and there. And usually about once every 6 months, there's a house that I'm like, that architect, can we find him? Because I'd like to take him up to that attic and show him what was wrong with this house. But that's really what you want to ask, what you're going to provide. What's your warranty? Certainly a hard winter this year and a lot of ice. And there were times we got calls and they said, you did my house and I've got ice. And we would look at it and we say, well, we don't guarantee that you're not going to have any ice. But if we looked at the install or they sent us pictures, if there was something we missed, we certainly went back out and fix those. We had a few of those houses. That's the type of warranty that you have with us. You can call us up. If it's within our realm of a scope of work, we're going to take care of it. Now, there was other areas where you have an extended cape and it's almost a flat roof. Areas we didn't access or areas we said you have to tear down your ceiling to insulate. That's not going to be within our responsibility. But those are the things that customers should be looking for. If you just look for the price, you may be re-insulating, and you're not going to know. I've had 2 calls in the past couple weeks of people with 8-year-old roofs that were entertaining getting new roofs, told that they needed new roofs because there was all this moisture in the home, in the attic, and it was rotting out their roof. I'm not certain that's accurate on rotting out the roof, but there was definitely moisture on the roof deck. The first one had ductwork in the attic, so ductwork always leaks, so that's adding moisture to the roof. The second one was just kind of a strange structure where the insulation wasn't in line and the air sealing wasn't done, and so that was it's ambient air in the living space that's carrying the moisture to the roof deck. We can really tell pretty quickly whether it's a roof leak or it's environmental from the living space. And when you call out the roofer, what building science does he have? The roofing manufacturer taught him or her the system of how to install ice and water shield underlayment and roofing and drip edge and things like that. So that might not be the right person that you want to talk to. And recently we had a call, and this really frustrates me. It's a 5-year. They just purchased the home 5 years ago. It's probably a 40-year-old home, and the roof deck has what I call the magic paint. So the mold remediation companies come in during a real estate transaction. Somebody flags it and says there's moisture on the roof deck. They come in with this magic paint. I call it magic paint because it's just covering it up. And it's part of mold remediation. But they spray the paint and say you're all good. Buy the house, you'll be fine. They don't solve the moisture source. So the moisture source is the air penetrations or leakage penetrations coming from the living space. And this particular home, it's already coming back on the lower eaves or lower part of the roof. But all the nails that were sticking through that would have been painted are all rusted now.
Wow.
So the moisture source was not solved. And to add insult to injury, we looked at the furnace, and it was a single-stage furnace installed by a friend. He actually said he's not a friend anymore because the furnace, we said the furnace is twice the size that it needs to be. And I don't know if somebody else had told him that, but he said, yeah, I haven't really talked to that guy in a while. So people will sell what they get the discount at the shop from. They don't know anything about sizing a piece of equipment, so they just say, "Oh, that's bigger is better. Let's put it in." It's kind of like the difference between taking a 10-minute shower and having 10 gallons pour over you, or grabbing 5-gallon buckets and just throwing it at you. Here's a 5-gallon one. Use some soap, and here's another 5-gallon one.
More is not invariably better.
Yeah. So chasing these rebates, these companies offer these rebates as we do, but what are you getting out of that? So that's where we really say the blower door test. You want to look for that. You want to make sure that you're getting real world documentation, just like you're going to the doctor and you're getting your height, your weight, your blood pressure, and then from there they might determine some other tests, some blood work, some MRIs, some CAT scans, to get some real world conditions of where we're at and where we want to be in the future and what the prescription is for making that change. So it's sad to see when people make those decisions, but the information's out there online. Most YouTube channels, you can find all that stuff. So,
Wise Home Energy is the show with Jeff Flaherty here on the Voice of Liberty. Now, the blower door test, for those, a lot of people are new listeners filter in. Is that program still available through NYSERDA? And we're still paying for that,
it
right?
Is.
On our utility bills.
Yes, there is a lot of fees on our utility bill, and one of them is the systems benefit charge. And so you're still eligible for that. They now limit it to, you can get 2 a year. So you can go to a different contractor, and some people do kind of loose and fast, so they won't do the blower door test. There are times when you should not do it. If there's a health and safety issue up in the attic, if you have a fireplace, wood-burning fireplace running, if you have construction going on, if you have the trim off your doors and windows, the test will be so flawed, there's no point in doing it at that particular time. You got a room under construction. But whenever possible, we're doing that because it's just telling us the things you want to fix in the home, that's going to relate to it. So if you have dusty air, if you have dry air, if you have humidity problems on your windows, mold and moisture problems in your basement or attic, those things will be related to the blower door. So we want to know that number. And it tells us not only how much is leaking out of your home, but qualitatively it can kind of show us where that leakage is. And the leakage gets higher priorities. The top is the most important part. I always drive by these construction sites with the plastic wrapped around the scaffolding of the building, and on a day where they got some supplemental heat in there, the top is pushed out and bulged out like a hot air balloon, and the bottom is sucked in. And that's how your house is. That's how the air is moving through it in the wintertime. It's coming in low, and it's leaving high due to slight pressures in the home. So to stop that is to air seal the top of the home first, and then the next best spot is the bottom. And air sealing is not, I air sealed it and someone says it out loud. It is documenting that you did the work and then verifying that it worked with a blower door test. So those are the things that our clients love. We just had a funny negative review online from a client who had some work done a few years ago, and she kept calling about ice, and we said, send the pictures, and it was through a program, and we said, yeah, you have some icicles that are like pencils hanging off your gutter. You had a skylight. You'd have to tear down the drywall behind it. You maybe could add some vents to improve this, but these are not ice dams. These are icicles that you might see on an unheated garage. So it's actually one of the best reviews I've ever seen that is negative, because it really highlights any customer who wants to get rid of ice dams knows that those aren't ice dams.
Right.
So it's
not all ice is evil.
Yeah. So, and then there's environmental through the sun. If the sun bakes down on your dark roof, it's going to melt a little, and you're going to have a little meltdown to the edge, and then it'll freeze. So
you have warm days?
Yeah. So, I thought that was kind of comical. We get some interesting ice dam calls in some of the homes. It's just the blower door is hard to explain to people. And usually when they see it, if they can walk around with us and feel the air moving, it really helps them understand it. But what I think people don't understand is that air is moving out of your home constantly. It's constantly moving out of your home. More so the temperature differential. So if it's 60 indoors and 60 outdoors, or 65, there's no temperature differential. So we're not going to have these pressure differentials. And that's actually an interesting indoor air quality time of year. That's when the homes kind of get stale. You're not quite at the open the window stage, but you don't really need your heating and cooling equipment on. So and then there's remedies for that, of how we can add fresh air and make sure your indoor air quality is up to snuff. So that the process is pretty simple. You call up, you fill out a 1-page report, you provide it's a release for your energy bills, and then you provide your energy bills to us. We fill out an extra step where we really find out what you're looking to solve. If this is your forever home, this is a great time to make the home perform properly. And then we come out, do the assessment. With the ice dams this past year, people wanted us out the next day and probably to correct it the following day. This is a process. A lot of companies are struggling because the rebates have changed so much, and their skill set is not fixing homes; they're chasing rebates. So we want to fix homes, and we do that by coming out and doing that assessment.
You can help them with a rebate, though, yes?
Absolutely. Yeah, we get that all pre-approved. We start with just a proposal and say, hey, this is what we think the rebate will be. You got to give us a little time. We got to get the state to approve it. It goes through some magical portal, and it's instantaneous. We take it right off the top, and then we offer financing. So really, these bills are going to keep going up. People really don't realize that the ice dams they're making is energy loss. The reason their bills are so high is that heat is leaving the home before you've had a chance to enjoy it. You paid for it, and now you're paying it to melt snow, to create ice, to make damage, to possibly have water come inside your home. So that's not a good investment in my mind. And, I had a client recently. It was just an estimate on a big Culver Road up in the city of Rochester, and big old 3-story, those monster homes, and finished third story, and they've got ice and some of the chunks on the ground. I got there after it was all melted, but there was this chunk. I'd say bigger than a curling stone if we still got our Olympics memory in place. And I couldn't even move it with my foot, a slight kick. And I'm thinking, hanging off your roof, if someone walks by, who's paying for this damage? And so I gave him a quote, and he said, we're gonna go elsewhere. And I know what that means. That usually means we're not going to do anything, or we found a cheaper guy who's going to blow some stuff in. So I'll put that on my whiteboard in the office, and next winter I'll drive by and note if that quick fix did it. And I doubt it was. It was a little complicated structure, as these finished third floors usually are. Another one I had like that who called for massive ice, and by the time I got there, it was gone. But luckily, people take some pictures of it. He had a third floor finished attic, and you can sort of see if people have had energy audits. It kind of shows up that maybe they have one in the past. So he didn't mention it, and I said, well, you have ductwork in one of your attics, a knee wall. I said, the insulation's all done wrong. It's no question you've got problems here. And I didn't walk around all the house. I was really, it was just on the way home, so I stopped and did an estimate because I sort of felt like this was maybe a waste of time. And And then come to find out, he's been through the program, and no one mentioned that the attic's like this. No one did a blower door. And then he goes, oh, my heat pump. And I go outside, and these heat pumps, these condensers are extraordinarily expensive. And there was some of the ice left in these chunks, Bob, where, 50, 100 pounds, they dug into the ground.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, you're risking your heat pump. I don't know how insurance works. I don't know if they're going to, cover this thing if this 100-pound ice falls next winter on
if
your
the
heat
driveway is
pump.
close enough, your car, and to say nothing of your family walking by.
Well, that's why he called, because it was the driveway side he was concerned about.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, your health and safety, absolutely. How about, the thousands of dollars you just invested a year or two ago in this heat pump? Crazy. And, who knows? And then the insulation insurance companies will be like, oh, it's ice and there's water. Just replace the fiberglass insulation. So, okay, we'll be back in a couple of years. So we don't even do insurance claims like that because they want like for like. Most people outside the industry don't understand air leakage, and many in the industry don't understand air leakage. So we do.
So this had to have been a bad year for ice, I'm thinking.
It was a terrible year for ice. People should realize if you had massive ice hanging off your roof, those are going to be, if you use air conditioning, that's going to be the hot summer sun baking down. It's going to now cost you electric on your air conditioning. So it really makes sense to fix it from a structural durability standpoint. It makes sense to fix it from a health and safety standpoint. We don't want water coming in our home. We don't want ice falling on our loved ones or pets or cars. So there's a lot of reasons. And then the energy part of it. You don't want to keep paying to melt this ice because it's the same money you're spending to try to air condition a second floor that is never going to cool. So, just a home I was in yesterday. Oh, yeah, it's so bad we have a window air conditioning. And I said, and you have central air conditioning, right? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, that's
why.
That's the insulation and air sealing. So.
Gotcha. Hey, we're running right down to the end of the show here, Jeff Flaherty. Let's give them some contact information and tell them what your company's all about, what the name of it is, and all that.
Yeah, so the contact phone number is 585-270-5836. WiseHomeEnergy.com. Lots of information there. Have a YouTube channel. You can do some self-education and see what you want to do to fix your home and make it more comfortable, durable, and health and safety-wise.
And save some money, get it done right. Jeff Flaherty, thanks so much. Good to see you again. Another Wise Home Energy Show on the WYSL, WLEA stations. Get the podcast, WYSL1040.com.